They skipped my name on the wedding list. I stared at the elegant ivory cardstock, my fingers trembling as I traced the embossed letters. Everyone from my fractured family to the barista at my corner coffee shop had made the cut. But not me. Faith Harper. The ghost they thought they'd buried 6 feet under. Reduced to an afterthought in the very ceremony that was supposed to seal my doom all over again. I died on the night of my own engagement party, choking on the bitter pill of betrayal as my fiancé's hands, those same hands that once promised forever, pressed a pillow over my face. "It's for the best, baby," he'd whispered, his voice cracking like cheap whiskey, while my best friend, Lila, stood in the doorway, her diamond earrings glinting like the tears she never shed, holding the phone that could have called for help but instead dialed the cleaners to erase me. And now, here I was, reborn in the body of the woman I'd been 3 years ago. The morning after that party, my lungs burning not from suffocation, but from the raw scream I finally let out. The world tilted back into focus, my tiny Brooklyn apartment, sunlight slicing through the blinds like Judgment Day, and the faint echo of laughter from the party still ringing in my ears. I'd clawed my way back from the void, not for redemption, but for reckoning. They thought they could rewrite my story without me? Hell no. This time, I'd crash their happy ending before the cake was even cut. Waking up in my 28-year-old skin felt like slipping into a dress 2 sizes too small, familiar, but laced with the ache of memories that didn't belong. I bolted upright in bed, gasping, my heart hammering like it had when the darkness closed in. The clock on my nightstand read 8:47 a.m., June 15th, the day after the party that ended my first life. My phone buzzed on the charger, a string of texts from Lila lighting up the screen. "OMG, last night was epic. You okay? Ethan said you crashed hard, lol." Ethan. My fiancé. The man whose smile could charm a jury and whose lies could bury a body. I flung the covers off, my bare feet hitting the cool hardwood floor of my 1-bedroom walk-up in Williamsburg. The air smelled of stale champagne and regret, remnants of the party I'd hosted to celebrate our engagement. Photos from the night cluttered my dresser, me in that emerald green dress, arm looped through Ethan's, his chiseled jaw tilted toward the camera like he owned the frame. Lila photobombed half of them, her wild curls and infectious grin the perfect foil to my straight-laced vibe. Best friends since college at NYU. We'd shared everything, late-night confessions over cheap wine, career crashes in the cutthroat ad world, even crushes that fizzled before they sparked. Or so I'd thought. But that night, as the guests thinned and the city lights twinkled beyond my fire escape, Ethan had cornered me in the bedroom. "We need to talk," he'd said, his blue eyes stormy under the flush of too many toasts. I'd laughed it off, blaming the booze, until he pulled out the envelope. Photos. Emails. Proof of the affair I'd suspected but never confronted, the one between him and Lila. My rock. My confidant. "It's not what you think," he'd lied, even as the evidence screamed otherwise. But it wasn't just infidelity. No. The real gut punch was the secret they'd unearthed together, my father's embezzlement from the family firm, a scandal I'd covered up for years to protect Mom after Dad's suicide. They'd found the ledgers, the offshore accounts, the forged signatures, all of it buried in the attic of our childhood home in Connecticut. "You are using me," I'd whispered, the pieces clicking like a lock I'd long ignored. Ethan's family law firm represented mine. Marrying me was his golden ticket to the partner's track, a merger of money and misery. But when I threatened to expose the affair and tank his career, The mask slipped. Lila had slipped in behind him, her face a mask of pity laced with venom. Faith, you're toxic. Always have been. Hiding your daddy's dirt? It's eating you alive. And then, the pillow. The struggle. The wet gasp of my last breath as they staged it like an overdose, pills scattered like confetti. My suicide note typed on my laptop, blaming the family's shame. The cops spotted hook, line, and sinker. Small-town Connecticut whispers turned to national headlines. Heiress to disgraced firm takes own life amid scandal. My mother, broken and medicated, signed off on the cremation without a fight. Ethan and Lila, they waited the respectful year, then announced their engagement at the firm's holiday gala, toasting to new beginnings over crystal flutes. I watched it all from the ether, a furious specter, until some cosmic glitch yanked me back. Rebirth. They call it in those trashy novels. To me, it was a loaded gun, handed to the girl who'd forgotten how to pull the trigger. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on my face. Same hazel eyes, same freckles dusting my nose. But now they burned with purpose. My reflection smirked back, a predator in prey's clothing. First things first, confirm this wasn't some fever dream. I grabbed my phone, scrolling past Lila's text to Ethan's. Miss you already. Last night was perfect. Love you. F. The timestamp, 2:14 a.m., hours after they'd left my sleeping body. Perfect. I deleted it all, my thumbs flying with a vengeance that felt like exhaling after years underwater. Coffee. Black. No sugar, fuel for the storm. As the pot gurgled, I paced the kitchenette, piecing together the timeline. In this reset, I had 3 months until their wedding, the one that should have been mine, now hijacked in a lavish Hamptons estate, invitation list curated to erase any trace of me. My name wouldn't be on it, hell. My existence was a footnote they'd scrubbed clean. But I'd seen the guest list in my past life, leaked by a nosy cousin on Facebook. A-listers from Ethan's firm, Lila's influencer friends, even my estranged aunt who'd always hated my drama. They'd toast to love reborn from my ashes. Not this time. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a scalpel, precise and deep. Step 1. Gather intel. I hadn't confronted them in life 1. Too trusting, too eager to believe in redemption arcs. Now, I'd play the long game, the devoted fiancé unraveling at the seams. I'd smile through brunches, nod at wine tastings, all while digging into their lies like a forensic accountant on deadline. By noon, I was dressed in yoga pants and a hoodie, camouflage for the girl who needed space after the party. First stop, the family home in Greenwich. A sprawling colonial I'd inherited but never visited post-Dad's death. Mom was there, fragile as ever, tending her herb garden like it could resurrect the man who'd gambled away our legacy. The drive up I-95 was a blur of minivans and billboards for divorce lawyers, ironic poetry. As I pulled into the driveway, the wrought iron gates creaked open like a bad omen. Mom, I called, stepping into the sun-dappled foyer. She emerged from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, her silver-streaked hair pulled into a loose bun. For a split second, confusion flickered in her eyes. Hadn't I died? No. This was before. She rushed forward, enveloping me in a hug that smelled of lavender and loss. Faithy, I was just thinking about you. How was the party? I held her tight, fighting the lump in my throat. In my first death, she'd mourned me with a quiet dignity, selling off heirlooms to pay the firm's debts. Ethan had swooped in as the grieving almost son-in-law, handling the estate with predatory grace. It was intense, I said, pulling back with a practiced smile. Ethan and Lila send their love. Her face tightened at Lila's name, subtle.
But there.
Mom had never warmed to her, calling her that social climber behind closed doors. Good instincts. Wasted. We settled in the sunroom, chamomile steaming between us. I need to go through Dad's old files, I said casually, stirring my tea. For the wedding planning. You know, family history and all. She nodded, too weary to question. Up in the attic, dust motes danced in the slanted light as I pried open the trunk, the one they'd found in Life One. Ledgers yellowed with age. Emails printed in haste. Bank statements stamped confidential. Dad's embezzlement wasn't just greed, it was desperation. Siphoning from clients to fund Mom's experimental cancer treatments after her first diagnosis misfired. I'd covered it up at 18. Forging docs to keep the firm afloat, dooming myself to a lifetime of shadows. But Ethan and Lila? They'd twisted it into leverage, threatening to expose it unless I signed over my shares. When I refused, they silenced me. Now, I snapped photos on my phone. Evidence encrypted in a cloud folder titled Recipe Ideas. Digital ghosts, ready to haunt. Back in the city by dusk, I hit a dive bar in the East Village, neutral ground for my first play. Ethan texted, "Dinner tonight? Make it up to you." I replied with a heart emoji. The hook baited. He arrived at 8, all pressed chinos and that boyish grin, sliding into the booth with a bottle of my favorite Pinot. "You scared me last night."
F.
"Thought you'd ghosted me." I laughed, light and airy, clinking glasses. "Never. Just needed a reset." As he rambled about firm drama, partners circling like sharks, I probed gently. Lila seemed off. "Everything good with you too?" His fork paused mid-bite, eyes flicking to mine.
What?
"Yeah, of course." "Why?" "Just vibes." I shrugged, sipping wine like it was truth serum. He deflected with a story about her latest brand collab, but I saw the crack, the way his jaw ticked when her name lingered. By dessert, I'd coaxed out fragments, late nights at the office, harmless drinks after hours. The affair was embryonic here, a spark I could fan or smother. We walked back to my place hand in hand, the Brooklyn Bridge lights winking like conspirators. At my door, he kissed me slow, apologetic. "I love you,
Faith.
don't ever doubt that."
I lied.
Unlocking the door. As he left, I leaned against the frame, exhaling. Love, it was a contract to him, a ladder to climb. But ladders break, and falls are fatal. That night, sleep evaded me. I lay in the dark, replaying the murder in high def, the pillow's smother, Lila's whisper, "Sure. It's mercy," the gurgle of my final plea.
Mercy.
The word curdled in my gut. They justified it as saving me from scandal, from the monster Dad made me. But monsters? They were staring back from the mirror. Dawn broke with a plan sharpening in my mind. I'd infiltrate their world, not as the victim, but the virus. Attend the couple's brunches, charm the firm wives, leak whispers to their right ears. Controversial? Sure, framing an innocent colleague for Ethan's mistake, seducing Lila's mentor to spill dirt. Morally, Gray didn't begin to cover it. But in the game of gods and second chances, ethics were for the dead. Little did I know, the first thread I'd pull would unravel more than I bargained for, a secret buried deeper than Dad's ledgers. One that made my betrayal look like child's play. The weeks blurred into a meticulously scripted charade. Each day a brushstroke on the canvas of my vengeance. By July, Ethan and I were the golden couple again. Brunch at Sarah Beth's. Sunset sails on the Hudson. His arm around my waist in every Instagram post. Lila hovered on the periphery. Her texts a mix of sisterly concern and subtle barbs. You two are goals. Don't let him work too late. Winky face. Winky face. The nerve. As if she hadn't mapped the terrain of his body with her own hands. I dove into the firm's underbelly like a mole with a grudge. Posing as the eager fiancé, I volunteered for the summer mixer committee, caterers, playlists, the works. It gave me access, file rooms after hours, water cooler gossip from paralegals who'd sell their souls for a corner office. Ethan's rising star status? Built on sand. I'd uncovered his first sin early, a fudged settlement in a class action suit, pocketing kickbacks from the insurance giant. Small potatoes, but enough to dent his halo if leaked to the ethics board. Lila, meanwhile, was the wild card. In this timeline, her influencer gig was budding, a lifestyle blog peddling empowered womanhood to millennial moms in the burbs. But beneath the curated feeds lurked the hustler, sponsored posts for shady supplements, ghost-run op-eds for Ethan's firm to whitewash their PR disasters. I friend her for old time's sake, binge-watching her stories over rows at her Soho loft. Tell me everything, I'd say, eyes wide with faux innocence. She'd spill about the firm's old boys club, the partners who pinched her ass at galas, the way Ethan understood her ambitions. One humid August evening, as cicadas hummed outside her floor-to-ceiling windows, she cracked open the vault. We were 3 glasses deep into a bottle of Sancerre, sprawled on her white shag rug amid throw pillows embroidered with affirmations. Faith. Can I tell you something? Off the record, her voice dipped, conspiratorial, as she toyed with a strand of her hair. Always. I leaned in, heart steady as a sniper's.
Ethan.
He's intense. About the future. Says we're endgame. But sometimes I wonder if he's just chasing the Harper name. Your family's old money. Even after the mess. She paused, gauging me. In life one, I'd have defended him. Blind loyalty, my Achilles heel. Now, I nodded sympathetically, planting the seed. The embezzlement thing, your dad. Ethan mentioned it once, offhand. Said it explained a lot about you. The walls, the control. Rage flickered, hot and immediate, but I banked it, feigning hurt. He told you. My voice cracked just right, vulnerable, not vengeful. She backpedaled, hands fluttering. Not like that. Just. Context. We're family now, right? Family. The word slithered like a serpent. I let tears well, dabbing them with the hem of my sundress. I get it. Secrets have a way of poisoning everything. By night's end, she'd hugged me tight, promising discretion. But I'd recorded it all, voice memo app discreetly running in my pocket.
Digital dynamite.
Timed for detonation. As summer waned, the invitations went out. Their wedding, Labor Day weekend, a tented affair on Lila's family's vineyard in Napa, cross-country flex. but I'd finagle a girls' trip excuse to crash. Ethan's bachelor party loomed first. A Vegas blowout with the firm bros. I gifted him a monogrammed watch, engraved with "To New Beginnings," irony thick as fog. "Wear it for luck," I murmured.
Kissing his cheek at the airport.
Luck. He'd need it when the blackjack dealer turned out to be my planted informant, feeding me receipts of strippers and side deals. While he hooped it up in Sin City, I struck at Lila. A anonymous tip to her blog's biggest sponsor. Did you know your ambassador's betting her married mentor? Check the geotags. The post imploded overnight. Comment section a battlefield of slut-shaming and schadenfreude. She called me in hysterics at 2 a.m. Faith. It's a nightmare. Someone's out to get me. I cooed sympathies from my couch, nursing a glass of bourbon. Who'd do that? You're untouchable. Untouchable? My ass. It was just the appetizer. Ethan returned tanned and triumphant, but cracks showed. Over dinner at Le Bernardin, his treat. Guilt-laced, he confessed the watch had brought him luck, winning big at the tables. I smiled, toasting his fortune, even as I mentally tallied the firm's slush fund he'd dipped into for the trip. To us, he said, clinking forks.
Us.
A lie wrapped in linen napkins. September dawned crisp, leaves turning in Central Park like pages in a burn book. Their wedding loomed, a 3-day extravaganza, welcome dinner, rehearsal, the main event. My invitation? Crickets. But Mom forwarded the save the date, addressed to her alone, a polite erasure. RSVP for one.
Please.
They'd forgotten me in the fine print, assuming I'd bow out gracefully post-breakup. In reality, Ethan had proposed to Lila weeks after my death, citing fate's cruel timing.
Fate.
I'd rewrite that bitch's script. I booked a red-eye to San Francisco.
Solo.
Crashing at a boutique hotel in Yountville. The vineyard sprawled like a green sea, rows of Cabernet vines heavy with promise. Guests trickled in, Ethan's Wasp-Y clan in khakis, Lila's boho brigade in flowy maxis. I dyed my hair a subtle auburn, enough to dodge double takes, and checked in under Fiona Hart, a distant cousin ploy. The welcome dinner that Thursday was al fresco. Fairy lights twinkling over long communal tables groaning with charcuterie and heirloom tomatoes. I slipped in late. Traffic from the airport, flashing a forged invite I'd mocked up on Canva. Ethan spotted me first, mid-laugh with his silver-haired partner, his face draining like bad milk. Faith, what the...
Surprise.
I air-kissed his cheeks, voice honeyed venom. Mom insisted I represent. Wouldn't miss it. Lila hovered nearby, flute in hand, her eyes narrowing behind a smile that didn't reach.
Faith.
This is unexpected. You look amazing. Likewise. Napa suits you. We clinked glasses, the sound sharp as shattering glass. Through appetizers, oysters on the half-shell, each slurp a swallowed grudge, I worked the crowd. Charmed Ethan's aunt into spilling about his wild college days, a paternity suit hushed with firm money. Coaxed Lila's cousin into admitting her engagement glow hid stress eating from cold feet. By the fire pits, as S. Mores melted under stars, I cornered a tipsy paralegal. Ethan's got that corner office vibe.
Huh? Deserved.
She snorted. Wine loose.
Deserves audit.
Skimmed from the pro bono fund last year. Sure.
Gold.
I filed it away, the noose tightening. That night, in my room overlooking the vines, I emailed the ethics board anonymously, attachments, bank wires, witness statements from my Vegas plant. CC, a journalist at the Times I'd buttered up via LinkedIn, posing as a concerned alum. Rising star or falling fraud? The subject line teased.
Send.
The backlash would hit post-vows. A honeymoon hangover from hell. Friday's rehearsal was a circus, string quartet tuning. Florists fussing over peony arches. I lurked in the shadows, helping with place cards. There was my name absent, a gap between Harper, Evelyn, Mom's RSVP, and Hartford. Reginald.
Skipped. Erased.
I pocketed a spare, slipping it into my clutch like a talisman. Ethan pulled me aside during the mock ceremony, sweat beading on his brow despite the breeze.
Faith.
This is weird. Why are you here? To celebrate love, I said, eyes locking his. Yours and whoever's. The barb landed. He flushed, glancing at Lila directing the flower girl. Look, about us. Water under the bridge. I patted his arm, nails digging just enough. But secrets? They float. He paled, excuses tumbling, but the quartet struck up, whisking him away. The rehearsal dinner was black tie intimate, a barn conversion strung with Edison bulbs. I sat at the family table, uninvited. But who argues with Cousin Fiona? Toasts flowed. Ethan's dad on legacy. Lila's mom on serendipity. When my turn came, Mike thrust my way by a drunk usher. I stood, glass raised. To second chances. Because sometimes, the first one was built on sand. Murmurs rippled. Ethan choked on a sip. Lila's laugh was brittle. Here. Back at the hotel. Buzzed on adrenaline. I scrolled news alerts. Nothing yet. The leak was slow burn. But Lila texted. We need to talk. Coffee tomorrow? The hook flipped. I agreed. Dawn meet at the Vineyard Cafe. She arrived disheveled.
No muck-up.
Tracksuit screaming vulnerability.
Faith.
I know things ended weird with you and Ethan. But this? Showing up, it's cruel. Cruel. But.
Kettle.
I sipped my latte, feigning shock. I thought we were past it. Friends forever. Right? Were we ever? Her eyes glistened. Real tears? Or theater? Ethan told me about your dad's mess. How you covered for him.
It
changed things. Made me see you differently. Differently. Like a liability. And the affair? Did that change, too? I let it hang. The bomb dropping soft. She froze. Then deflated. It was a mistake. One night. He was scared of you. Of the truth coming out. We both were.
Scared. Of me.
The loyal fool who'd die for them. So you killed me for it? The words slipped. Unbidden too soon.
Too raw.
Her face crumpled.
What? Faith.
No, you overdosed. Everyone knows. I know. I leaned in. Voice steel. I remember the pillow. Lila. Your hands shaking as you typed the note. Forgive me. I can't live with the lies. Poetic. The cafe emptied. Barista vanishing like smoke. Her mouth gaped. Denial forming. But I pressed. Rebirth isn't a fairy tale. It's a curse. And I'm here to collect. She bolted. Chair scraping. By noon, Ethan called. Frantic. What did you say to her? She's freaking out. I hung up, blocking him. The game escalated, texts from unknown numbers, voicemails laced with pleas. But the real twist brewed in the shadows, a call from Mom. Voice trembling. Faithy. The firm's digging again. Old files.
And
There's something about your grandmother. A letter Dad hid. Grandmother. The woman who disowned us after Dad's shame, dying bitter in a Florida condo. What secret could eclipse embezzlement? I booked a flight home mid-ceremony pretext, but curiosity gnawed. As guests prepped for the big day, limos idling, bouquets wilting in the heat, I uncovered the first fracture in my own armor. The wedding morning broke over Napa like a hangover, hazy sun filtering through gauzy clouds. The vineyard air thick with the scent of crushed grapes and desperation. I'd caught the red-eye back to JFK, trading vows for vaults. Mom's cryptic call a siren in my skull. Grandma's letter, she'd said, voice cracking over the line. It wasn't just Dad's mess. It was hers. I'd landed at dawn, Ubering straight to Greenwich. The house a mausoleum of unpacked grief. Mom waited in the study, a manila envelope clutched like a grenade. Her hand shook as she passed it over, yellowed paper, scripted in Grandma's looping cursive. Dearest Eleanor. It began, addressing Mom. If you're reading this, I've taken the coward's way. The money wasn't for treatments, it was restitution. For what I did to the Millers. The Millers, our neighbors in the 70s. Black family who'd sued the firm for redlining, denying loans based on zip codes that whispered urban.
Grandma.
Then a junior partner had buried the case, falsifying docs to protect the bank's white-collar clients. Dad discovered it years later, embezzling to fund a secret settlement, the payout that kept the Millers silent but bled the firm dry. My blood ran cold. The scandal I'd shouldered wasn't just Dad's greed, it was generational rot. A family curse of cover-ups.
Grand-mère suicide note?
Forged by Dad to mask the truth, just as I'd forged his ledgers. We'd all been monsters in denial, passing the poison down. Ethan and Lila hadn't just betrayed me, they'd weaponized my legacy, unearthing bones I'd never known were mine. Forgive me, the letter ended. But some truths bury themselves. I folded it away, hugging Mom tight. We end this, I whispered. No more hiding. She nodded, tears soaking my shoulder. For the first time, rebirth felt like inheritance, not chains, but keys. Back in Brooklyn by evening, jet-lagged and seething, I plotted the counterstrike. The wedding was in full swing, live streams from Lila's cousin flooding Insta, her in ivory lace, Ethan in bespoke tux, exchanging rings under a floral chuppah that screamed stolen dreams. Comments gushed, perfection, newlyweds. I resisted the urge to troll, focusing fire. The ethics leak had landed. By midnight, Ethan's phone would blow up with subpoenas. But Lila? She needed a personal apocalypse. I fired off the voice memo to her agent, time-stamped pre-affair. Context. Indeed. By dawn, her brand was toast, sponsors fleeing like rats, blog comments a cesspool of homewrecker, and karma's a bitch. She called from the airport, post-honeymoon haze shattered. Faith, you psycho, you leaked it? After everything? Everything. I laughed, cold as Connecticut winters. Like the pillow? The note? Call me when you're ready to confess.
Click.
The line went dead, but the silence hummed with fallout. October brought the storm. Ethan suspended pending investigation. The firm of Viper's Nest of finger-pointing. He showed up at my door unannounced, hollow-eyed in a rumpled suit, reeking of scotch.
Faith. Please.
It was her idea, the cover-up. I loved you.
Loved.
Past tense. The coward's cop-out. I let him in. Offering water, he ignored. Sit, I said, gesturing to the couch where we'd binge-watched The Office in Happier Lies. He collapsed, head in hands. The affair. It started after. Guilt, I guess. Lila said you were unstable, that the suicide proved it. Unstable. The gaslight flickered.
But I was immune now.
And the ledgers? You blackmailed me with family dirt. It was business. His eyes pleaded. But I saw the calculation, the lawyer prepping his defense. We can fix this. Marry me. For real this time. The proposal hung. Absurd.
Me?
The reborn widow of his crime. In white again, laughter bubbled. Unbidden. Fix what? The murder? His face blanched, denial forming. But I pulled the letter from my bag, Grandma's confession, annotated with Dad's notes. Or this, the real scandal. Redlining. Fraud, your firm's bread and butter. He scanned it. Color draining. Where? Family secrets. I leaned in, voice low. Expose it, and you're done. But help me bury it right. Anonymous donation to the Miller's heirs. Full restitution, and maybe I keep quiet. A controversial bargain. Protect the innocents, damn the guilty quietly. No headlines. No heroes, just justice in the shadows. He nodded.
Broken.
Anything.
Just.
Don't destroy us.
Us.
Still clinging. Too late, I said, showing him out. The door clicked like a gavel. Lila's unraveling was poetic. Fired from her gigs. She crashed at a friend's in Queens. DMs begging meetups. I agreed. Neutral turf, a diner in Midtown. Formica tables sticky with history. She slid in opposite.
Gaunt.
Extensions fraying. You win. Okay? It was wrong. The pillow, we panicked. Thought it'd look like suicide. And the pain. Pain. I stirred my coffee, black as my grudge. Mine or yours?
Ours.
Tears tracked her cheeks. Mascara rivers. Ethan was using you for the merger. I loved him first. College. You stole that. Stolen? The revisionist history stung. But I saw the truth. Envy. Festering since freshman year, when I'd landed the internship she coveted. So murder fixes it? Mercy kill. She whispered it, eyes darting. You were spiraling, the ledgers, the lies. We did you a favor. Favor. The word ignited me. I slid a USB across the table, recordings, docs, the works.
Confess.
To the cops. Or this goes viral. Her hand trembled, snatching it.
Why?
Revenge. Balance. I stood, tossing a 20 on the table. Or call it karma's prenup. November chilled the city. Leaves skittering like fleeing accomplices. Ethan made the donation, $5 million to a civil rights fund. Wired clean. The miller's daughter called me. Voice thick with awe, your family's ghosts. Thank you.
Ghosts. Fitting.
Lila turned state's evidence. Plea deal for manslaughter. House arrest. Therapy. The soft landing of privilege. Ethan, disbarred. Exiled to consulting in obscurity. But victory tasted hollow. Mom and I hired a PI. Unearthing more, Grandma's affair with a junior associate, the real father? Dad's half-brother. A secret that explained the firm's iron grip on loyalty. Betrayal layered like sedimentary rock, crushing underfoot. As Thanksgiving loomed, Ethan cornered me at a charity gala, irony's gift. Clean-shaven. Humbled.
Faith.
I get it now. The pain. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
A syllable too small. But in his eyes, something shifted, regret. Real as rain. Move on, I said, turning away. We both should. The controversial twist came unbidden. I burned the letter. No public reckoning. No Me Too moment for the firm. Protect the vulnerable, the Millers. Mom, from the blast radius. Critics in my head screamed sellout. But rebirth taught mercy's edge. Forgiveness?
No.
Forgetting? Never. Yet, as snow dusted the bridges, a final hook snagged, an email from an unknown sender. You think it's over? Check the attic again. My pulse spiked. The game, it seemed, had players I hadn't mapped. December wrapped New York in a brittle frost. Holiday lights mocking the chill in my bones. The email burned a hole in my inbox. Sender anonymized through VPN layers. Attic.
Now.
Or the Millers get the full show. Blackmail's echo. But whose? I drove to Greenwich alone. Mom wintering in Florida for her health. The house echoing with ghosts. The attic stairs creaked underfoot. Flashlight beam slicing dust devils. The trunk yawned open, but empty. Ledgers gone. Replaced by a single folder for Faith. Inside. Photos, me as a toddler. Grinning on Grandma's lap. Dad. Young and stern. Arm around a woman not Mom, brunette. Sharp-featured. The junior associate? Notes scrawled in his hand. She's alive. Hiding since '89. The firm knows. Alive? Grandma's suicide. Dad's embezzlement. Covers for what? I dug deeper. Heart thudding. A birth certificate, mine. But father listed as unknown. Timestamp, 1990. Mom's first miscarriage, the one she'd never discussed. The pieces detonated. I wasn't Dad's daughter. The brunette, Elena Vasquez. The associate was my mother, hidden after the affair blew up the redlining case. Grandma and Dad staged her death to protect the firm, shipping me to Mom as a ward. The embezzlement? Funding Elena's new life in witness protection, far from the firm's reach. My family was a fabrication, the betrayal a web spun before I drew breath. Nausea hit, but fury followed. The email source? Ethan's doing his final gambit, traced via headers to a burner in Jersey. He'd found the folder in our old cleanup, holding it like a ace. But why expose now? Revenge for his ruin?
Or redemption?
I confronted him at a neutral spot, the old engagement party bar. Ironic full circle. He waited in a booth, aged a decade in months, nursing a soda.
Faith.
You came. Talk. I slid in, folder slapping the table. This? Your Hail Mary? He winced.
No.
I sent the email to force your hand. The truth, it's poison. But you deserve it. All of it. His voice cracked. Eyes red-rimmed. After you died, I found the folder in your apartment. Thought it was leverage. like the ledgers. Showed Lila. We plan to use it, blackmail the firm for a payout. Run away. The murder's motive. Unmasked, not just my threat, but a jackpot heist on my hidden heritage. But, I prompted, nails digging palms. But I couldn't. Not after.
Killing you. It broke something.
Lila pushed. Said it was clean. I dreamed of you.
Faith.
Every night. Reborn or not, you're the ghost that won't quit. Reborn.
He knew.
I stiffened.
How?
Your suicide note. You changed it. Last edit timestamp. Postmortem.
Impossible.
When you showed up at the wedding.
Alive.
I pieced it. A beat. I deserve jail. But the folder? Burn it. For Elena. She's in Seattle. Teaching. I traced her last year. Wanted to tell you. But cowardice.
Elena.
My real mother. The word lodged. Foreign. Why now? Because love isn't ownership. He pushed a slip of paper. Address.
Phone. Go. Live.
I'm turning myself in tomorrow. Full confession. The pillow. The fraud. All of it. His hand reached. Tentative, I let it hover. I'm sorry. Truly. I left without absolution. The city a blur of tinsel and traffic. Christmas Eve. I flew to Seattle. Snow blanketing the sound like absolution. Elena's bungalow glowed warm. A Christmas tree twinkling through frost-laced windows. I knocked. Folder clutched. Heart a war drum. She opened the door, 50s. Elegant, in wool sweater. Eyes the mirror of mine. Can I help, Faith? Recognition dawned. Slow as sunrise. We talked till dawn. The affair. The cover. The guilt that gnawed her into hiding. I watched from afar. She confessed over cocoa. Your graduations? The engagement announcement.
Proud.
But terrified. Proud of a lie? Bitterness edged, but softened in her gaze. Proud of you. The truth made you strong. Strong. Rebirth's gift. Perhaps. Mom joined via video next day, tears. Then laughter. A triad forged in fire. No headlines. We donated the firm's restitution to redlining reparations. Anonymous.
Ethan?
Sentence light. Manslaughter plea. Community service in legal aid. Lila. Therapy and restitution. Fading into obscurity. New Year's. I stood on a Seattle balcony. Fireworks blooming over the water. No groom's revelation at a wedding. The truth exposed itself in quiet corners. A twist not of plot,
but soul.
Betrayal's sting faded, replaced by possibility, second chances, plural. I wasn't the victim reborn. I was the architect, building from ruins. They skipped my name once. Never again. Fight Harper, no. Faith Vasquez wrote her own list now. And at the top, forgiveness. Controversial as hell, but mine to claim.